Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Riga. Welcome to MARE BALTICUM. Gave me a text on it right now. I'm happy to be back here because Riga was the city where we kickstarted this MARE BALTICUM series, and at first edition was at Astor right up here, and we had 39 people. So now we have 145, which is more than triple, and I'm very happy about that, and so happy to see so many new faces. I would like to share some information with you guys, so that you know that today you can, until 2 o'clock, you can vote for the BSG Awards and the BTEC Awards. If you want to scan this QR code right there, or you just head to hipster.com/events Riga Awards and then final vote. The password is hashtag Riga 2023. Alright, so I will leave this on for now. And in the meantime, I would also like to invite the first moderator on stage. Before that, I also want to share that tonight we are hosting a karaoke night. No, singing is not mandatory, but the drinks are on us, so you just come by and it's going to be a great party. Be there at 8 o'clock. You need to wear these white bracelets to get in, and there will be a secret sign that you will need to show with your hands, which you will receive in your email, otherwise you cannot get in. Alright, so the first panel is the traditional one we host at MARE BALTICUM, which is dedicated for the Lithuanian, Latvian and Estonian gambling industry, and it's moderated by the ambassador of this conference, Andrius Gablis.
Thank you very much. Some claps for the organizers. Yes, I'm really very happy to be here. I apologize for my voice. It seems that I tried so hard to use the artificial intelligence tools to manipulate my voice to make it more attractive, but it didn't work. So I want to introduce my panel, which is always basically the same. Lolita from Lithuania, Signe from Latvia, and Henrik from Estonia, plus Kaido from Estonia as well. So please come here, join me. Why I'm telling that, it's always the same. We kickstarted in 2018 here in Riga, please, with the intention to have an independent panel for gambling, which this area, let's say, this region, the Baltics, didn't have. There were no conferences dedicated to the gambling industry in this region, or there were some small events which had some, hidden agenda, some associations were pushing some sort of a question or whatever. We wanted to have a forum which is independent, dedicated only to share the updates and meet new people. So I suppose I see that it really went well, because it's the 6th event, and we get not we, I'm just an ambassador, the organizers, I'm not the organizer. But why I'm telling that, this panel remains the same is that we always have the Latvian regulator, Signe is the president or the director of the regulator. We had her colleague Jānis Lagalovskis in the first edition. We have Henrik Mege, which is right now took over gambling matters in the Ministry of Finance of Estonia. He has been working there with gambling for the last 3 years, as I understand, but he's right now the main person in Estonia. So if someone has any problems, just remember this face, or if someone is happy about Estonia, remember his face. So Lolita, Lithuanian Ministry of Finance, she's always with me, and yeah, so nothing changes. Kaido bets on and is a representative from the industry. From Betsson, they have a dedicated brand, BetSafe, for the Baltics. So he's always covering the whole perspective of the region, which is, as everybody understands, that Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia maybe is a region, but the countries and the markets are completely different. So we can't say that the general trends are the same. No, it's three different countries, and he will cover his thoughts on what's happening. So I'm really, really happy to see all of you, and I'm really happy that you remain with me, even with all the faults of the moderator that I have. Yeah, so I would like to begin, I would like to ask if we have the slides. Yeah, we have the slides. Lolita has some slides to, to illustrate what the numbers, because it's always better to see the numbers than to hear from. I'll just make sure it was probably here. Yes. So let's begin with Lithuania. There are let's say big changes. Lithuania has experienced really big changes in terms of online gambling. It's not recent. It's not, let's say, a few months changes, but it has been. The changes were implemented or adopted a year ago, but these are tremendous changes. So I would like Lolita to cover those. I think I can help.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Is the microphone working? Can you?
Yeah.
So good morning once again, and thank you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to be here. I prepared a few slides because I thought that it will be maybe a little bit easier and not so boring to listen. As Andrew's already mentioned, we have some changes in taxation. So I could say that since the middle of the last year, we had some really big changes in legislation of gambling, and these changes also, I would like to emphasize that it was initiated by the politicians, by the parliament members, and I could divide it into two parts. One part is related to the licensing process, the procedures. So it would be that maybe one of the most important moments that it is unbinding online gambling license, because before July last year, we had, in order to organize online gambling, you had to have a license for land-based gambling, and there was requirement to have certain number of land-based.
Okay, so yeah, we have some problems with the yeah.
Okay,
could you manually change the slide? Okay, let's do the manual. I'll see now.
Yes, before, in order to organize online gambling, you had to have a license for land-based gambling and to have certain number of land-based gambling places, like you see 1 casino, 10 gambling machine halls, or 20 betting or totalizator places. And since July last year, there is a new requirement that it is separate online gambling license. So, but as much as I know, still no newcomers to the market according to this new requirement.
Yeah, I can confirm that there's no new coming, even though the interest is there, but I think there's so everybody is looking for the first step of someone to just step in. So I just so this is I have to remind that the online gambling in Lithuania was from 2016, so it's before 2022. So it's from 2016 to 2022. So this let's say land-based presence was existing for 6 years. Yes.
Now we can change
can
the
move forward.
slides. We can. Yes, the next requirement also quite I would say radical. That now for all land-based gambling places, it is necessary to receive permission of local municipality. We have that so-called double licensing system. So one general license for the activity, and then you need to have permission of each land-based gambling place. And now for all these places, you need to obtain permission of local municipality. Before July last year, it was necessary only if you wanted to open casino. And this permission is termed 5 years, and it can, Gambling Control Commission can renew this permission, but the basic condition is to receive permission of local municipality. So this is also quite a significant change.
Okay, the next one.
Yes, the next one. And this is the most complicated slide. It's about taxation. It was quite a lot of changes and radical changes in taxation. Now, since last year, July, all gambling, so it's land-based gambling and online gambling, tax rate is 20% from GGR. And lotteries, from the beginning of this year, tax rate is 18% from the turnover. So before we had the fixed tax rate for tables and gambling machines, now it's all 20%. So I will not comment all the figures because you can see it on the slide. If someone is interested, you can ask Zoltan, he can share these slides.
Yeah, so we see the big jump in terms of the Lithuanian gambling tax. Just to be to be fair, the tables that that the move to the percentage rather than a table, I suppose it was it looked at as an advantage, as a good, let's say, step. And jumping on the tax rate is always a, for the industry it's looked at as a bad thing. So yeah, 20% for I suppose we could look at it like it's a normal tax rate when we consider, let's say, Western Europe or Denmark or these kind of countries. But when we make a comparison of Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, 20% is extremely high, extremely high.
And the last one, there is also one new novelty. Actually, I think we took example from Latvia because it's always. It was said that look at the Latvians, they have such a high taxes for license, but as we could not impose the taxes for license, but it's imposed a new single license fee. It's for newcomers who are coming to the market. So it's quite high taxes for the license. As you can see, it's from 300,000 up to 1 million euros.
Yeah, so this one, yeah, so the breakdown is a very, very detailed breakdown, but for online gambling, to have all the verticals, everything for online is 500,000, so in comparison to Latvia, it's, yeah, you took the example and almost tripled. Because they took the example from 200,000 and made 500,000. Yeah, Estonia has 85 €1,000 if we have a joint betting plus online casino. So yeah, this is single license fee. Most probably, what you mean, there's no renewal fee, so it's a one-off fee without any annual fees or renewal fees. Yeah, so these are, as I told, these are tremendous changes which were introduced a year ago. Everybody felt the news in terms of the tax rate, and as far as Lithuania does not have any newcomers as the licensees, these things are just numbers on the sheet. So let's see. Even I have some sort of information that most probably will have the first entries or the first attempts to enter the market. But just let's see, next year. Now let's move to Latvia, to the host country. Signe, I suppose there are no that kind of tremendous changes in Latvia, but let's see what's happening here.
Hello, good morning to everybody. It's very nice to be here and to make some introduction with the changes what happens in Latvia gambling industry. I have not prepared such presentation like Lolita because nothing has happened yet. And when the decision will be taken, of course I will inform you. But I can say that already for 2 years in Latvia have been done work with gambling policy guidelines. What will happen and what will be in force since 2021 to 2027. Of course, it's already 2023, but how I said, time is running too quickly, but politicians are not take so quick decisions. So what it means, these guidelines? These guidelines include 6 courses of action, and it will be. It depends not only to land-based gaming, but also to online gambling. First of all, it will be addiction prevention. So advertising ban control and visual design requirements to the gaming halls. Talking about advertising ban, you know that in Latvia is totally prohibited gambling advertisement, but it is going on everywhere, and it's not practically possible to stop all these kinds of gambling advertisement. But I will say some few words about advertisement regulating plans later. So it will be in this policy guidelines, it includes also regulation of physical access to gambling. It means that there will be some changes in working hours of gaming halls. It means that there will be some changes in the age restrictions, not 18, but it will be increased to 21 years old players.
Casino only?
No, also in gambling halls, and that's all.
Okay.
I don't know how it happens with the online gambling, but it is plans also to online gambling also 21 years old players. So, of course, there will be more restrictions to the illegal gambling market. You know that it is a legal gambling market. Nevertheless, we have banned for blocking of illegal sites, for bank payments. It's not allowed, and it's obligation for banks to stop payment with illegal sites and legal operators. But nevertheless, the illegal market is going down slightly, but it's going down, and it's very good information and good news. But anywhere, the grey market is still rather big, approximately 20 degrees, 20% it's still in place. But we have more than 36%. And of course, it's going down, it's rather good. So there will be also monitoring of industry trends, because we would like to know how it happens and how it develops in other countries. What are the new technical issues, what are new technical ideas, how to propose gambling for players, and how to limit players, especially players which are with addiction problems and vulnerable people. Going on the parliament, but this is rather big job for us and for the deputies also.
Okay, and this so because no changes is not something that is always bad. So basically, I understand because you are saying that nothing's happening. Nothing. Maybe that's a good thing that nothing is happening because like in Estonia, nothing is happening, which is a good thing.
But we of course we are some. I believe and I know that our operators are rather stressful because they are also waiting what will be the last version of the new law.
Okay.
So
understood. So yeah, the 21 years is not something which is very strange in the region because Estonia has 21 years for casino, Lithuania has 21 years for casino, for betting it's 18 both in Lithuania and Estonia, so it's not something which is a tremendous change, or the market will adapt to that, and I think Kaida will cover that later on. So thank you very much for the introduction. I see that, I remember these talks about, the changes, some internal work of the regulator, internal work of the ministry that it's pushing, within some time limits. I see, from my side, I always see that in some cases the technical requirements are not very, very, let's say, precise, and sometimes it's not. Let's say, for the innovations, sometimes it's not very easy to understand what should be tested or something like that. These kind of things, from, let's say, from the legal point of view or from the technical point of view, these things, I think, have room for improvement. But other than that, yeah, when I see the taxes are 10%, which is, in between twice as high, so yeah, I don't think that nothing is happening in Latvia. That's a bad thing. So everything, I suppose we're good more or less. So Henrik, thank you for joining. That's actually the first time we met, so that's a very good thing to have you on the panel. Estonia, we have information that there's some development there with some questions within the gambling act, within the gambling tax act. Say, can you please introduce yourself a bit and what's happening there in Estonia?
First of all, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Hendrik Mäki. I work in the Ministry of Finance. In the Ministry of Finance, I'm on the regulatory side, licensing, etc. We have separate department for all tax-related questions, all taxes. So no specific gambling tax department, but general tax department. And advertisement is a responsibility of the Ministry of Economics. But the recent changes and trends in Estonia, I must say that there are no changes, but there are plans. And the main trigger of public discussion on gambling has been the coalition agreement that was signed, I think last month, at the beginning of last month. And it had two significant points on gambling. The first was about advertisement. It said the plan is to ban gambling advertisement as the consultations between politicians, with market participants, with ministry started. It became clear that nothing has been decided, and we will do this process based on regular procedures, meaning that we will start to look into this matter in detail and not decide before we have gathered the information, before we have made the consultations and so on. On the ministry level, we have never had any paper or draft or legislative act prepared that says that gambling advertisements should be banned. But because the political will is there and the advertisement act will be opened in total, not only gambling but alcohol and everything else as well, the consultations with the sector will be most probably in the autumn, and probably some changes will be made, whether it will be in the law or will it be only in guidance. It depends. Right now we collect information by watching advertisements and seeing what is the current situation in the market. And the second point was about tax. There is general tax hikes in Estonia involving almost all taxes, biggest taxes, and that includes gambling tax. So it's not a gambling specific decision, but it's part of general tax hike. The total amount of tax increase might be about 500 million, and gambling is 8 to 13 million, depending on the year. So it's quite a small part of the total tax changes. But nevertheless, compared to the current rate, it is still quite significant increase from 5% to 6% next year, and 6% will be also a year after that, and then 7%. 3 years from now, 7%. So. And a few other things. We are assessing gambling addiction after every 2 years, and we changed methodology. We saw a significant increase in the risk group, the gambling addiction risk group, but we are not jumping to conclusions here because we changed methodology. So we are waiting for this year survey as well, and we will see what the trend and what the pattern is and collect some information more before turning into any conclusions. And finally, the fourth item I would like to mention is that because we have quite liberal governments, then all the time the state ownership is on the table in media, but as well we have to all the time analyze whether or not to continue with the state ownership of lottery. So this is something that is ongoing analysis, and after I think every 2 years politicians make the decision whether to continue or not to continue with the state ownership of lottery, and this time the date is around autumn where the analysis is ready, and then politicians, this is totally a political level decision, and politicians decide on that matter.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. So this last question is always a political question, because that's, this question, I think, except of Lithuania, all the countries have or had at some point of time to decide upon the state ownership of the lotteries, except of Lithuania, which has a very unique lottery framework, which is not which is an interesting topic, but most probably within this conference we will not go deep into the lotteries sector, because most probably the audience is not entirely from that sector. But it's an interesting topic. In terms of the Estonian, let's say, changes, even though when you hear that there's a tax hike of 1% in comparison to Lithuania, doubling up every year and a half, it doesn't sound extreme. It sounds extreme because there were no changes in I've just looked into, just for myself, because I've been working with the Estonian gambling framework, as I was saying before, from the adoption of the Gambling Act in 2010. So it's already 13 years, and I just looked what changes there were made. No changes, except of the let's say GDPR, which you have to introduce these kind of things into the act. So this hike of 1% is already a change, and it will influence the industry, most probably a bit. In terms of the advertising, this is a crucial topic, I think, for the operators, and I will turn to Kaido right now, because the total ban of advertising was always there in Latvia. Everybody were speaking about that. Yes, you can't do anything, but you do. So it's a ban, but you do something. In Lithuania was a different story. There were some exceptions of what you can do, what you can't do, and there were a lot of cases in Lithuania. I think Lithuania has always had the most, let's say, cases in the court in terms of the advertising. And I think in Lithuania, I will not lie, I think Lithuania is the only country here that has a lot of cases in the courts for what is concerning gambling. Let's say the advertising, some compliance issues. In Latvia, there are minimum. Let's say, I suppose.
We have quite enough court cases about AML issues.
Yes. Okay.
And some cases even in constitutional court concerning COVID-19.
Yes, this is, yeah, but this is a
But,
bit
but not
extreme.
about investment. I can say that we are not responsible for regulating of investment in the banking still.
Yes, I understand. You know, the COVID case is a bit extreme. It's one thing in the lifetime, and the only country that did that I think in the whole world. But I think we
make it one which is the best one, but in reality life is very different. And if I start from Lithuania first, as you already said, that this is kind of unique what we see in Lithuania. And the latest changes what took place referring to this full online license, this is actually very positive. Because
yes,
to be honest, this previous setup was a bit off. That first you had to have like offline operation, and then you can apply for online and so on. So it made all this much more clearer. Another story is that, and most probably you know in detail, even in much better, that why there are no new entrants in the market is that operators always. They try to evaluate the risks in overall, not only aspects from taxation side or whatever. They took it like one package. And clearly, when I look at Lithuania, it seems a bit high risk to enter to the market with a completely new brand from scratch. This is definitely.
I agree. And you know, one thing is the risk thing. The other thing is that to see the pie, because it's the pie is already divided into strong brands.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely. This is something we always need to keep in mind talking about Baltics markets, that we are small markets, meaning that if it's already established, there are brands there operating. It's extremely hard and it's very expensive to enter and take market share. So that's why. I see that this current regulation in Lithuania, it doesn't change much from that point of view, that there will be more, let's say, more brands in the market. I can't see that this will happen, or at least with current advertising regulation and taxation and so on. But once again, that all what was connected with this changing this licensing regulation is very positive from that point.
Yeah, I agree with that, because that the argument about why there are no new entrants is off. Because you can say that 500,000 is a lot, and it is a lot. But the argument that there are no new entrants because there is a strange land-based requirement is off. So
Agree. What comes to these change in regulation about taking away bonuses and all these offers and advertising? To be honest, we were also at the beginning a bit worried about that, how the market will react, because being in online business, it's always you have the risk that some players or some segment of players will go to the grey market.
Yeah.
It's really easy to happen, and that's why we were worried about that. But now, after some time, when this new regulation is in place, that yes, we have lost, and I believe all the market has lost activity-wise, meaning that number of total players is maybe declined, but let's say the average player and the kind of quality, they are coming to play. They are not coming just to get some bonuses or something, or to find a way how to get some advantage from some specific bonus. And this has made all this environment much more clear. So it's, I would say that this is, it has even like positive impact from that point. And of course, it's for us as operators, what is the biggest challenge is how to generate like new customers all the time, because we can't advertise, we can't do advertising. Is only what we can do is brand advertising or sponsorship. So in that sense, we are limited. But this is again comes to this that when you are established brand in the market, your brand awareness is high, then you gonna get it like organic way in that sense.
Yeah, I suppose I agree, because I don't feel that myself as an attorney, because everybody who's, let's say, coming to me, they're asking to find a way around because they're not happy about the incentives being off, but they don't share anything about the bright side of that, because I can only hear here, because I see the numbers are going every year in Lithuania, the numbers are going higher and higher, and actually quite a lot higher, because the regulator published the turnovers of 2022, and it's increased as always. So yeah, so the bright side of that, as you put it, is the brand awareness. The clear returns there. The brand awareness is there, and as you said, the players come to play, and not only for bonus abuse or whatever, these kind of things.
Yes, absolutely. And there is also one more aspect from like our side when I talk as an operator, is that we need to focus much more to product, meaning that to think how to make our products better, how to make them more interesting and so on, because we understand that we can't cover it with the marketing or bonuses or whatever. So this is also very clear, and I would also call it a positive trend from that point of view. To summarize in what's happening in Lithuania, what I feel is much more needed is this kind of discussions or conversations with regulators to think the same, that why
extent, the scope is different. And let's say the Lithuanian blocking measures are actually working mostly in terms of the payment blocking measures, which is yeah, it has the the bright side and the negative side. In Latvia, well, there are questions why this black market is to the extent the biggest, but it's not tremendous. If we would have a Polish, let's say, guy here or woman here who could cover the Poland's, let's say, black market story, which was 80% of black market, so it would seem that like Latvia is a success story. So yeah, it's still, I would say that it's not tremendously high, the black market. So that's the first thing that maybe I try to disagree with you, but it's hard.
Yes. Another angle is when we talk about Latvia as a market that we clearly see, and most probably COVID was kind of speeding up this process. We can see that this transformation from offline to online, and this is happening more and more. And if I take this plus include their what's happening around offline gambling in Latvia in general, then I would be very worried if I had like a business to run in offline, because there is very strong initiatives from local municipalities, and I fully understand their position, because local municipality, they are not policymakers.
Yes.
They need to take care of their specific area that people feel safe, happy, and so on. So again, this goes back to policymakers and overall the industry, that they need to kind of sort out and agree what is the reasonable level of gambling they accept in offline, in that sense, that how visible it must be and so on. But clearly, just postponing this topic or pushing it to local municipalities to make decisions, this is not fair. That it doesn't bring good results.
Okay, so I was told that it's 2 minutes. I would like to go further, but let's do one thing. If you could change one thing this year, or in 2 years, or this year, what's the single thing you would like to change in Latvia, Signe?
I agree to the thing what Kaido right now said about municipalities. It is very strong decision to give so many force to municipalities, because how you said, municipality deputies are not politicians as we understand, and they have to fulfill the feelings of the people who are living here. But I really will be happy if all municipalities come together and decided which will be the one place, at least one place in Latvia, where land-based gaming legally could be offered their business.
Okay, thank you very much. Hendrik? One thing.
One thing that could be changed in a year would be creating a forum of regulators. We have a bunch of different regulators, from tax, advertisement, FIU, and the market participants to holistically view the situation in the market periodically.
I think we can organize that, because it's not something that the parliament should decide. So because the thing you're discussing is something more in parliament. This thing is just gathering and speaking. Lolita?
It's difficult to say for me, as so many new changes just came into force, and it's, yes, I agree with Signe and Kaido regarding municipalities, but well, we will see what will happen. I think I would do something regarding the addiction research. I can't describe exactly what it would be, but I think to work to this side.
I see your point. I see your point. Okay.
as I couldn't cover Estonia well enough, then I will focus to Estonia only with this last thing, is that I definitely recommend to new coalition to rethink it really, and talk with the different experts about changing environment, meaning I'm referring mainly to taxes but also advertising. As you said before, stability is really important and in every business industry, but in our industry especially. And in reality, they have already answers there with current regulation and taxation, but some reason they don't see it now. So I definitely recommend them to kind of overthink this, what they have been announcing so far.
Thank you very much, everybody. I think that's the, I always worry about this panel because, that's the main panel for myself, I think every year. And I hope to see you, next year, I suppose, I don't know, we're in time, yeah. So we will be in Tallinn, so we will have the same panel there. Thank you very much. It's bad that we can't have any questions because we're over time. Sorry?
Yeah, the questions can be asked during the break.
Yes, the questions can be asked during the break. So thank you very much for being with us. And let's have a second panel. Welcome, thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, so the questions for the speakers can be addressed during the break, because that's much easier to discuss some secret stuff with them. All right, so now we are going to move forward. We are decentralizing the future now with the second panel, which focuses on blockchain. And I have here the moderator, Asta Tikas, all the way from Tallinn to kickstart her panel.
Thank you so much, Zoltan. Thank you for MARE Balticum having us. My name is Asta Tikas, and I'm representing INO, which is Internet Native Organization. So please, my dear panelists, also take the stage with me. Please welcome. And in the meanwhile, I will just do an intro. So we can talk about how it's possible to decentralize the business that we are doing daily. What is the blockchain industry doing right at this moment, and what's going to be the future? And why am I here? I believe that in every industry we have opportunity to play around with the feeling of engaging more community with us, building more trust, winning the moment where you, how to put it, okay, the third thing I wanted to say is to avoid frauds, actually, yeah. So, and this is all about what the blockchain can offer you. And so what is Internet Native Organization doing? I'm gonna give you a short overview. Internet Native Organization is actually an organization which is Internet Native. So it's code-driven, it's built on blockchain, but it doesn't have to use blockchain all the way around. So I assume that each one of you has actually a company which is related to internet, right? It makes you actually internet native. And when it comes to the law and regulations, then we are a bit behind, we can say, because we have everything on paper and it's not related so much to the internet. So what we are solving and researching on Internet Native Organization is that we want to bring the code more into the law. And this is what I've been doing last year. But my short background is that I've been into crypto space 3 years. I've been a board member of Estonian Crypto Association last year, and last year I co-founded the INO, Internet Native Organization. So I've been speaking and educating people and bringing this internet native thinking to the mainstream. And I want to welcome with me big players on stage. Please kindly introduce yourself. Pick the microphones here, yeah. Please, maybe, Monica, you can begin.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Monika Schwed. I am a business analyst at Right Energy. It's a full-stack IT company from Poland and Sweden. So as a business analyst, my main job is to bridge the gap between business and the IT development teams. So from some times already, I was mostly involved in Web3 and blockchain projects. That's why I'm here, and I hope to share with you some interesting insights from the practitioner perspective.
Thank you, Monica. And Lee, welcome.
Thank you for this invitation and having me here. It's my pleasure to be part of this discussion panel about technology and connection with the law and everything that happens nowadays. My name is Dean Rakic, and I'm already approximately 30 years in the computer science, and the last 12 years in the blockchain industry, not in a crypto, just to make a distinction. I'm dealing with some cryptos, not trading, but on another view, pushing some patents. Last 3 years, 7 patents in the blockchain technology area, teaching on 3 universities about the blockchain, digital innovation, and the big data and data analytics, artificial intelligence. I hope some of my insights will help you.
Thank you. And Anna?
So I'm the only lawyer in this panel, as I understand. So I'm an attorney at law from Estonia. I'm actually from sort of corporate background, corporate lawyer, who ventured into the iGaming space. And through the iGaming space ended up in the blockchain space. So that is also possible. And today here, as we're talking about blockchain, so my experience in this technology is related actually back to the very first case in Estonia, Auto the Boat case. And then moving on, I became head of legal of Yoga Group, which was the only operator, iGaming operator using crypto in Estonia.
Thank you so much. So actually we have in panel almost everything we need. We have a lawyer, we have a scientist, we have a business analyst, and from my side I can say that I'm a fan of technology with a little background of AML, because I've been working also as an AML officer in 2 crypto projects, and definitely I can say I'm an entrepreneur and a bit of artist as well. So we have a lot of insights here on stage. I feel we're going to have a very fruitful discussion. And I hope that you can take away and take with you the understanding from us why you should consider researching a bit about decentralized technology and how to use that in your business. So we hope that we're going to give you some insights and answers about these kind of things. So let's begin with this word decentralized. Maybe some of you are not so much into technology. So, what do you guys think? What is this D in the word decentralized means actually? Who wants to read that?
I think it's the same D as in distribution word. So yeah, first job checked. Yeah, it's all about the distribution of authority, of the power, decision making, and it's, from my perspective, it's getting rid of the central entity that controls everything in favor of more peer-to-peer transactions and relations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely agree. And Dean, what do you think, why decentralization is needed in business, actually?
If it is needed or not, that's the question first. Because talking about a strategy, starting to building a business, it's first to understand the business and then to build a strategy, and after that to decide if we really need decentralization or not. We are still in the phase of our mankind that we are trying to understand the decentralization and the need of decentralization. So many parts have to be built in the next few years. We are just in an infant phase of decentralization. It is not so easy to put all those things that we need nowadays or we are using in our daily business in a decentralized manner. The whole mankind should be decentralized. Then we can be satisfied with the decentralization. Such things like legislations, laws, and all those things should still remain centralized. And therefore we need a lot of steps to go over and go through to accomplish actually a decentralization in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but can we actually point out here that decentralization doesn't have to mean 100% decentralization?
100% it will never be.
So what I want to say here is that
I don't want to disappoint you, but
yeah. So I want to point out that if we do business strategy, right? If let's say you have a community project, or if I'm thinking about e-gaming industry, what matters to me here, I understand community engagement, definitely, or charity projects, how to allocate investments. So these kind of things, why not to give a bit of voice to your community? And here I see the connection point that you can a bit decentralize the process. And what I mean here is that let's say you have a decision to make. You don't have to make it by yourself, everything. You can, let's say, give the governance away 40%, why not? So in that sense, we can say it's already decentralized a bit.
Something like that. It's a process actually called in academia automation. It's not so easy to automate everything that we have. The first point is something as actually the decentralized or a distributed technology is not just came with a Bitcoin 2008 and 2009. The whole story began some decades before, and we are at the moment now to talk about it and to try to implement and to adopt them. Also, to put 100% decentralization in our business need so many things to be automated, means our strategy and our mindset should be changed and in the next few steps in the next years.
Definitely. And on from lawyers' perspective, MiCA is coming, a market in crypto assets. As I understand, they don't want so much to define what decentralization means. So what do you think, what the future looks like for decentralized projects actually on blockchain? If they use technology, if they're going to have a lot of problems?
Well, in theory, the decentralized applications and protocols should fall actually outside of MiCA's governance. But I wanted to come back to the question that you asked earlier, whether decentralization can be in parts. If you go and look at the elections, decentralization in governance exists in countries all the time. As soon as you allow referendums to pass laws, that is also some part of governance has been given away. So I don't think it is a new phenomenon. And organizations certainly benefit from engaging their audience into product development even, because your audience, if you want to capture them and the acquisition cost is high, then you also should retain them by including them into sort of product design. So I think this is what companies are doing all along. Now the question is whether we consider these as governance questions.
Yeah, very. Yeah, you wanted to add something, Monica?
Yeah, I would like to add something about the decentralization and what if any app is fully decentralized from the more technology perspective, because when we speak about decentralization, we usually mean the decentralized apps. And decentralized apps are basically some kind of an interface for the blockchain and smart contracts that are deployed on the blockchain. So even though blockchain is decentralized, the applications built on top of that not necessarily are. And from my perspective and from my experience, none of the application that I deal with was fully decentralized. So it's all about the architecture, the design decisions. So yeah, we still use the decentralized word describing these applications, but by definition, it's not decentralized at all.
Technically, completely agree.
Yeah, technically I agree also. It's a very philosophical matter. But one question for you, all of you, in our hall here. How many of you have made investments or just have made cryptocurrency transactions? You can raise your hand. Please do. Not so many. I'm very surprised. Oh my God. Do you know that it's much more faster and might be even more cheaper to do that, and it's absolutely legal way to transact your money. Okay, so I really recommend to research on this topic more. I am a fan of cryptocurrencies and the new technologies, and definitely one thing to research for e-gaming industry is the crypto payments adoption topic. And when we talk about the apps, decentralized apps, definitely a lot of them are related to crypto payments adoption. And if you want to know more about decentralized apps or, let's say, DAO community organizations in the DAO space, DAO, what is a DAO? DAO is Decentralized Autonomous Organization. So you can go to the webpage deepdao.com and you will find their statistics about decentralized organizations. And if I look right now at the page, there is mentioned total treasury is 21.4 billion euros, sorry, USD dollars. And the organizations who are keeping this treasury is about 2,000. So it's, and I remember 1 year ago, the treasury was half less, and the organizations were maybe 600. So this industry is heavily growing. And I would recommend to look into this. Okay, but let's move further. So if we talk about the decentralized apps, then probably you have heard something about MakerDAO, Ethereum, maybe Bitcoin. Maybe not. If yes, it's good. Uniswap, Aragon, IPFS, Matrix. These are like words which we all know in crypto space. But do you here, my dear panelists, want to point out some project from which is from decentralized industry? Just to point out, and like a very short intro, 1 minute or less even. Just to point out, maybe Dean or?
Yes, already that you listed is mostly basic on the cryptos. And when we're talking about the cryptos, the people think the blockchain is a crypto, but is something that is pretty different. Decentralization, again, to put back ourselves on that point, is having a blockchain technology or a distributed and decentralized technology into various of industries. It's not only the crypto. The crypto is a part that we are talking about and always in mind, a full mouth of everything in the last years. And don't take me wrong, I'm 12 years in the blockchain and researching and pushing patterns there and teaching, lecturing students about the blockchain and the crypto. But the crypto is slow the adoption of the blockchain in the industry. The power of the blockchain is much more higher and bigger than the crypto industry brings. We are focused, especially in the iGaming, responsive gaming, and so on and so on, to use a crypto, but the common problems in the gaming and the gaming industry were not solved just using a crypto, because, for instance, micropayments, nanopayments, off-ramp payment, on-ramp payment, still not solved because of the legislation and the AML, anti-money laundering. There is still no solution about anti-money laundering. There is no digital currency that will solve still with current architecture and the point of view how the business logic and architecture of the technology works will not be a solver for anti-money laundering and counterfeit terrorism. That full mouth of all, as we mentioned, Mika is completely focused on these points, but there is no technical solution yet. The technical solution that from the practice should be is based on something another, on interoperability. The interoperability means to have all ingredients of our systems to talk on the same language, to be understandable, and to exchange the data, because any transaction, no matter if it is a crypto or in any industry, is based on data, not on a currency actually. When we are exchanging or transacting or buying or selling our cryptos, we are dealing with data actually. There is no currency, a physical form, as people think about it. And when we talk about interoperability and the problems that actually the whole industry should solve, it's about unifying something. But if we are unifying a legislation technology, we are still stepping back to the centralization and going far from decentralization. And there is still a gap between these points. The technology should solve, actually, the blockchain has an ability to solve this interoperability problem. But the adoption is still based just to have a crypto as a blockchain. We should think much more about technology, about the data science and the analytical part of the data that is actually in the core of the blockchain technology and distributed technology. If we have enough distributed data and technology covered, then the decentralization will automatically go a step forward.
Anna, you want to add something?
Yeah, I had many thoughts when Dean was speaking. One issue was that I think blockchain technology has done to globalization so much more than digital signatures ever have. If you imagine us coming from Estonia, who were so used to digitally signing so many things during the day, and then I work with some of my Lithuanian clients and it's not interoperable. Our systems are very different. Like getting registry extracts from commercial registries in Lithuania, I can't get a signature digital stamp on it so that I can show it to my Estonian counterpart. But blockchain technology has sort of influenced globalization regarding payments so much. In the iGaming space, there are different enforcement actions you can take against the gray or black operators. And one of them is sort of financial blockers, that you order the financial institutions on the market not to accept or allow any payments. So again, you can use the crypto payments and sort of overcome that hurdle. Of course, there's also internet service providers who have to put blockers down, and VPN can go around those as well. So there's, like, technology can put many challenges for the supervisors and regulators on the market. And I think blockchain technology has allowed many of these hurdles or many of these blockers to be overcome. But I also wanted to say that yes, blockchain technology is not really only about crypto, and this is the most popular sort of use case. For example, in my research for my PhD, I did not look so much into crypto. I did research on use of this technology actually for shareholder ledgers, for shareholder registries, and also for digital signatures, for the space of digital signatures to be interoperable using different technology. And that So this technology, blockchain technology, actually has many use cases that you might not be aware of, and many of applications that we haven't used today, even for this AML, identification, verification of identity. It just blows my mind that still to this day, the best case, what we can do is make a photo of our plastic ID card or passport. So we put something that is existing in a real world into a photo, and we trust it more than the chip on my ID card where there is a certificate for digital signing. Why do we create this sort of back-end logic in identifying and verifying identity still, when we have technology that could overcome all of these sort of photos and upload thing? But you know, there's a long way to go, as Dean was saying. This is sort of the early part of using this technology, and let's see what is next.
So good points, thank you, Anna. Especially the AML KYC problems, and I already see some solutions on the market where the third party can confirm your identity, and where the privacy is there, and where the company gets the data, public officer gets the data, everybody is satisfied. It's just decentralized solution. So I hope that this is our future. This is how we can save our data. But probably takes some years, maybe 5 years even. Yeah, because you're
maybe decades.
Decades. Okay, let's. I mean, in our IT industry, a decade is 1 year. Okay, so but let's move further. Why did I jump into the DAO space or into decentralized space? Is what I saw happening in Estonia, in Europe, in the US was a DAO boom. So what it means that companies started to figure out that it's very easy to attract money and people if they incorporate themselves as decentralized organizations. And what they were looking for legal wrappers, jurisdictions, which they were looking for support, literally. And a lot of these companies went to the US, a lot of them actually came to Estonia, also Lithuania is there. So how do you see the future for decentralized companies, legal wrappers? Do you see a danger there? Especially, I'm actually asking from you, Anna, because you're a lawyer and you understand that if there is a new way in business, then it's going to be misused, right? Until there is no regulation. Is it so or not?
What are you talking about? Lawyers never misuse anything. All right, decentralized autonomous organization. I wrote 5 years my PhD topic on blockchain technology regulation. And as you can understand, I'm a sort of fan of what it promotes. And my technical supervisor, who had a computer science background, was like anarchist. So there's a lot of anarchists who want to distance themselves from states and governance in the regular sense of the word in the blockchain space. But the decentralized autonomous organization itself is not only just to sort of distance itself from central registries or central governance, but it tries to, of course, give, community a more voice without bureaucracy. And me having a corporate background, I'm a corporate lawyer for 20 years. I've done and I've consulted and I'm still consulting publicly listed companies where we organize huge AGMs, we collect signatures. I'm also consulting startups who have hundreds and hundreds of investors, meaning shareholders, and we need to collect signatures on decisions from them. Now, having done that for 20 years, you think there must be a better way than forcing and sending emails and then reminding to go and sign stuff. and then collecting these signatures and submitting this to commercial registries. So I'm definitely hoping that DAO is a solution to some of these issues, that just simply making a transaction and sending your digitalized token, that you're in agreement with a resolution, and then somebody at some end prints out something that we can submit then to the bureaucratic machine work of the sort of commercial registries or securities registries, so that it would become more automatic and it would become more sort of user-friendly, and the interface of me not sort of preparing a document, collecting the signatures, then submitting it, then getting maybe a degree saying that, oh, I don't understand this one signature, that all sort of this loop would change. Like there must be a better interface for it. It can't continue like this forever. So this is my hope for the DAOs.
Thank you. My hope is the same, definitely. A lot of solutions are there in automation, and actually we can say now we can jump to AI topic, yeah? Because this is also part of the decentralization, and so probably you've all heard about ChatGPT, yeah? Is there anyone who has not heard about that? Okay, definitely.
I dare you to raise your hand.
Yeah, probably, yeah. We're gonna kick you out of this room then, yeah.
No, we're gonna show you what it really means.
So, if we talk about AI, so blockchain and AI is definitely working already together a lot. Monica, you are from Riga,
Right.
on NRG, right? So what is your opinion, how blockchain and AI can work together in such a way that they can not like control each other, but it could be balanced collaboration?
So my biggest concern about the AI technology is mostly about the data quality and the data validation, and how the data was obtained, and if it's real or fake. So I believe that blockchain might help in this field to validate somehow the data that the AI models actually use, and the other way around, AI might be used to spot the malicious transactions on blockchain, or to find some patterns, to predict some behaviors on blockchain. That's why I see, and I think that these two technologies can perfectly work together, and there might be benefits from the synergy effect.
Do you want to add something here?
Maybe just to add, because I'm dealing a lot with the blockchain and the data science and the big data analytics, actually with the artificial intelligence from different perspectives. Not exactly with the ChatGPT, it's just a game for me, from my point of view. We are still in the way to get something that is called a generative AI. Means we're still not in the automating position that the artificial intelligence should automate all our processes itself. In the next phase, I believe that should be in the 10 to 15 years, the AI should take this part to be self-organized and self-productive. It's still controlled by us and by algorithms, and what is in the core, it is controlled by the collected, already stored somewhere data sets. And we just use algorithms because the artificial intelligence is not, I mentioned last time on the previous conference, artificial intelligence is not a robots that are just going through on the street and doing something. It's much more on the algorithms and part of the mathematics that we are put in the background and inside. But how to connect actually the blockchain and the AI. The blockchain should be embedded into AI. As the Monica mentioned, the process of verification. We know already when someone who deals with data, the process of how data collection is processing, how data cleansing and putting in the model, and after that started the AI to learn model based on this data. And when we have enough successful results based on already collected data, means verified data from someone, then we can start to put the artificial intelligence into deployment phase into production to make a decision point like a ChatGPT is doing at the moment now. And where the blockchain should take place, because the blockchain is actually a consensus in the core, and is dealing with the verification of and verifying data on a transactional point of view. When we put the blockchain in the process after the cleaning data and verify these data are enough clean and verified and illegal for the decision-making process that should take part afterwards of the deployment, then the blockchain could be embedded, and this is the point of use those technologies together, so to say.
And if we talk about consensus mechanism, then what we have seen already, and this is also the discussion in the future, there are different ways to go about it, right? And regulators especially have different takes on that. So, Anna, do you have your opinion here? Like, regulators, sometimes they want to protect customers, sometimes they want to protect business. So what could be the right way to go about it?
Sort of trying to understand what you mean that regulators want to protect the business.
For example,
they want to collect taxes. So that is when they want to promote that they have this license or that market is open. They want to sort of get money off this market. I don't necessarily think that qualifies as protection of business. But it is protection of maybe the industry against forum shopping of others. Like there was Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia on stage, and each has their own regulation. And Kaido Ule from Betsen had this dream of harmonized pan-Baltic regulation, but that would take away this exact sort of forum shopping aspect. Although there are many businesses who are in all of the Baltic states and also Nordic states and all sort of Western Europe present, and iGaming is such a space where you don't have the harmonized regulation, and that's why it's so much fun for lawyers, because we get to do loads of work. So that is my short answer, that regulator always needs to protect the consumer, because consumer protection laws, and the general assumption is that consumer is stupid and needs a lot of protection. And that's why the ban on advertising and white taxes.
And when it comes to AI tools and the industry which is so fast growing, do you think that the regulators can actually do a great job there? Or this, this kind of discussion we can have weeks and months, right? It's like innovation, regulation, which path take. But if we talk about politics, what do you think, what's going to be the future for us? Like, are we just going to sit and watch what's going to happen? What's the position from the EU side? Or, especially related to AI? What your personal take here? Yeah.
Regarding artificial intelligence?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There's another panel, actually, innovation versus regulation, happening tomorrow. We have same discussion points.
Okay, so let's not talk so much about that then. Yeah, okay, next question for you then. What do you think AI can solve our money laundering problem? Maybe? Together with blockchain?
That's an interesting question to a lawyer. Stephen OP, Mind AI, he was telling us that he's representing something that can solve the responsible gaming related fine issues so that operators don't get fines, because AI will help them to know like when to identify the right trigger regarding players. So I think AI can be very useful for operators, definitely, maybe also for players, also definitely. I don't know about the regulators. I think compliance is what regulators are after, and if AI and blockchain help the operators to meet compliance targets and actually meet the behavioral expectation from the regulator side, I think then the regulators are also happy of us using technology to achieve what they wanted. But AI maybe helps also to understand how to increase sort of the positive effect of player activity as well, not only to sort of meet compliance targets, but also meet the revenue targets.
Yeah, Dave, you wanted to
Yes, I agree completely with Anna, but I have just one point to add in this topic about AI and AML, actually. All days we're talking about AML, or anti-money laundering. We are talking about position when the money laundering already happened. And all statistics is about that, something that is in the past. And we should take care and push the artificial intelligence in the position to predict the points where the money laundering can occur. And the AI has a potential for that, because we still are in the possession of the bigger databases and data sets, so enough to learn and to make a prediction based, can use any kind of machine learning, deep learning, Bayesian network, or such kind of the artificial intelligence technologies to predict the position where and to protect the systems before the money laundering happen. I spoke a few days before because I'm dealing with a Digital Euro Association and as a member there for the public and the private Digital Euro and the Digital Swiss franc. And a few days I spoke with people from Digital Franc team, Swiss franc team, and the money laundering protection is the only unsolvable problem at the moment. Everything else could be digitized and so on. And the blockchain itself is not the solution for anti-money laundering. I have to admit that after so many years and experience, I have more than 50 projects in the blockchain in life, not only in the crypto, but in the various industries from healthcare, supply chain, manufacturing, and so on, dealing with different kinds of data, different of industries, different business models, but also with the governance and the Ministry of Health in Germany, and pushed up some projects in the digitization and digital protocols based on the blockchain. The blockchain itself is just a helpful tool. It's not a solution for anything. AI together with the blockchain as an embedded part, because in the next 3 to 5 years, in all sensors that we are using in our phones, the analytics will be already embedded. So we just have to use it. And means use it is put it in the job of prediction and to have protect ourselves on any of the issue that can occur.
Thank you. One thing I want to just mention for you all here, if you're not so much into cryptocurrency and crypto business and blockchain, then one important note always that I want to give out is that if we talk about money laundering, if we are talking about frauds, then there is this kind of negativity that goes around with the word crypto, right? And it's because there has been so much negativity in the media, and mostly it's more cool to talk about, oh my god, what a scam, right? And but what actually is happening in crypto space is sometimes we forget that blockchain and especially open source transactions, they are trackable, right? And if you know the company Chainalysis, for example, who analyzes the blockchain transactions daily, they have so much information. Why? Because blockchain is trackable. And if you compare that cryptocurrency transactions to banking industry, it's uncomparable actually. So in that way, it's going to be an interesting future to see how much the banking industry will adopt crypto payments. And do they really want to be more transparent or actually not? But if to go, we have some minutes left, so maybe to end with this kind of thought, like what to take with us today from this discussion. Is this decentralization, this philosophical strategy tool needed for e-gaming industry, or is it too early? Monica, what do you think?
I think it is a very useful tool, but we still need to remember that it's just a tool. It's not a solution, and it shouldn't be a requirement, and it should solve some problems. So first we need to identify the need, we need to identify the opportunity or the problem we would like to solve, instead of starting the conversation with the technology we would like to adapt.
So instead of marketing that, oh my God, we are using blockchain, oh my God, we are decentralized, you can trust us, we are transparent. Instead of that, instead of saying these kind of beautiful things, rather bring the products, show what it's actually doing, use innovative tools. What else? B?
I agree with everything that you mentioned, that's fine. But we are still in a competition phase that, yes, as you mentioned, my blockchain is better, my solution is better, I'm solving everything that the other is not. We have to be unique on that point and deal much more ethical on this point, what the problem actually should be solved. Because we are still solving everything, but at the end the problems exist. Such a payments, crypto is not so dirty. It's not a problem with the crypto itself. It's a technology actually, and technology itself is not dirty. The use on an improper way is something that makes problems, and therefore is not adoption from all the other parties.
And Anna, maybe, do you want to add something for the lawyers who are sitting here listening to us? Do you want to inspire somehow them related to blockchain, innovative industry?
No, I was actually thinking of scaring the operators. But just last week there was an NFT Tallinn event in Tallinn, and we did not talk about NFTs in this panel, but non-fungible tokens. And I would say that there was a whole lot of discussion, and there were actually people on the stage who were discussing their developments and their products, including crypto exchanges, who were talking about gamification. And it was not a surprise, but a lot of the sort of advice that was given also on the stage to the listeners and operators was this, that, and it wasn't for gambling or iGaming space, this event. It was for the blockchain technology space. And they were talking already about gambling, because a lot of what is happening in that space is gamification. And now they are sort of issuing warnings, don't go into the game of chance, go into the game of skill, because they want to sort of keep their, not say players, but their users, and they want to keep their users interested. All of the metaverse can actually enter this gaming or iGaming space, and so all the operators watch out. Loads of things are happening that are coming from the blockchain space into the iGaming space, and metaverse is just a very huge, beautiful thing that has started to develop only now. and done it for the past few years.
Beautiful, thank you. My last question for each of all of you, you can answer with one word only. What's your favorite game? Let's begin with you, Monica.
Favorite game?
Yes.
Oh Jesus, I would say Sims.
Thank you. Lee?
I have no time for gaming, but I remember myself from the previous, some years ago, Uridium.
Anna?
Monopoly?
Thank you. For me, probably it's not even a game like table game or something. It's the game of energy, yeah, something like more philosophical. Yeah. But thank you so much for your good energy on stage, for your positive being, for your input, and please, everybody who's in this room, approach these smart and very experienced people in the industry. If you have any questions, please come to talk to us. And thank you, Zoltan, for inviting us. Thank you for the conference again for hosting us. And see you around. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's a good thing that Anne talked about the metaverse, because we have a demo right in the back. You can try out the metaverse, and the next session, the keynote session, is going to be about the metaverse, the live casinos in the metaverse actually. So now we are going to take a half-hour break to get some coffee and some snacks, and don't forget to take your selfie, because we have a selfie mirror outside, and have fun. See you back in 30 minutes.
For me, it's very, very interesting to moderate this panel, because I've been a gambling lawyer forever, and the gambling part is very good for me because it drags me, my clients always drag me to the innovation and stuff, because, even though I don't want to do that myself, the clients always drag me, to the fintech industry, to blockchain, and all the innovative things, because you can't sit still in the gambling industry. And everybody knows that if you stand still, you're not going anywhere. So yeah, so I'm really happy to have the the possibility to moderate this panel, and I would like to kick off with the fintech part and with Solus, because Solus, he will introduce himself. He has a vast experience with. Sorry for the voice, I can't do anything with that. So yeah, he has vast experience from brick and mortar banking in the past, then going to the industry with the very first fintech industry, the very first entrance of the Lithuanian fintech industry, then going to the hub, so he can just go from zero to where we are now. But I suppose the best way is to approach what's happening right now in Lithuania in general. So the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Andres, if you're preparing yourself for tonight, you're going to be a good singer, with a very specific voice. We'll enjoy it. Okay, shall I start with a self-introduction? Or it's enough, Okay, I'm Saulis Vacevičius. I'm the financial services man in the industry since the end of the last century. I really used to work for the big banks, was heading the important departments of the SEB group in the Baltic countries, in Lithuania. Then I had the pleasure to work in London for MARE gas company. Then I was involved in some kind of the venture capital, creation. And when it comes to the payments, it's really a very remarkable part of my career. I was the founder and the first chief executive officer and chairman of the board of the quite well-known company Connect Pay. And now I'm in the position of Fintech Hub LT board member, and also I've been working, actually it's a quite new partnership, not quite new, working for PSP Lab. It's a London-based company that provides some kind of professional consultancy services for the licensed payment service providers across Europe, but mainly with the focus on United Kingdom, Lithuania, and some Southern European countries. Okay, that's it. I'm humbled and honored to be there, Thanks. like to thank Zoltan, like to thank Andres. Really, it's a good occasion, it's a good place, you know, to share with my thoughts and just also to get interesting ideas. Shall we start with Lithuania?
Yes, yes, of course. Because you start with Lithuania, then we will go forward to Estonia, and we will go forward to the product plus Maltese thing. You know what's happening, and you know because fintech is not a new thing. It's not an innovation anymore.
It's not
fintech is it's a hot word, but it's not an innovation. You know.
Okay. Let's talk here. I'd like to say that separate two issues. One like the conventional payments fintech. Maybe we're going to talk about, say, the licensed electronic money institutions, payment institutions, and say the software providers of the industry. Say when it comes to the first, one is really Lithuania suddenly became very remarkable player. Say with around 100, say 31 licenses at the end of the last year, 84 electronic money institution licenses and 47 payment institutions licenses. Actually, it's second place in Europe. As far as I remember, United Kingdom just got like 205 electronic money, authorized electronic money and the payment institutions as of the end of the March. Really, it gives a lot of, you know, the situations that are quite unique, you know. And the main idea is really just decides the number, you know. Lithuania as a country was never known as, you know, some kind of the financial hub. And then suddenly it took really a very important place. And this is really not about doing business in Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. It's really about doing business across Europe, you know. And really say that it gives a lot of, say, opportunities and challenges. And I would like to make separation between the period from 2017 till 2020 and from 2020 till, say, 2023. The first period was really like the very enthusiastic, you know. Lithuania as a jurisdiction was booming, and there was only one that very, how to say, remarkable reason, you know. There was really direct access to the infrastructure of the Bank of Lithuania, to the gross settlement system like SEPA. That's a game changer because it gives you opportunity, you know, to open the direct IBAN accounts, and in many cases to work as the banking payment service provider. It's a real game changer, and it's really very easy to explain why Lithuania became so popular, you know. And this period was really like the very enthusiastic, everyone was welcome, whether from China, from any parts of Europe, and parts of the world. And then situation really took another direction around the end of 2020, beginning 2021. For sure, there was one obvious reason, say the new governor of the Bank of Lithuania. In our case, BOL is a supervisor, and they didn't change attitudes. Instead of the opening doors widely, they decided just to focus on the improvement, increasing the quality of the players. And that's really quite interesting now situation. You know, but I really can tell you that when it comes, say, to the numbers, for sure we enjoy around 131, but nevertheless market is quite concentrated. When it comes to the 5 biggest players, including ConnectPay, they cover like 54% of the market, talking about the incomes, say, revenues. And the 10 biggest, they cover 73% of the market. Market is really quite concentrated, you know. Remaining, say, 120, they just cover only 27% of the market, you know. There are a lot of, say, different, say, trends, different situations behind the curtain, and just it's not so easy to put on the table some kind of the one and the very structured picture of what is going on. But in any case, you know, talking about this jurisdiction is quite a big challenge because, again, Lithuania was never well known as some kind of financial services hub. Then it became, you know, with any kind of strings attached, like the, say, interest, observance, surveillance, you know, from the European Commission, from the neighboring countries, from the big guys like France, Germany, and stuff like this. And this really creates a lot of tasks, a lot of tensions. It's quite good, it's quite interesting, but a lot of it's quite challenging situation, you know. That's it. very long, 7 years old story in very few words.
Well, it's not a few words. Okay, so you know what I hear from you and what what I see from the changes in the legislation and in the approach. So what do you think? What led to the complete change, a shift in the attitude of the regulator, let's say, to go into another direction, or to basically not to go into another direction, but to shift towards a strengthened, strictened approach than to continue with what was there. Is that the spotlight, which was always essentially on Lithuania, did that affect or politics side, or what do you think?
It's a mixed feelings. 1 year ago was very short. It was very specific Lithuanian situation. But as far as I really have pleasure, to work with the financial conduct authority cases, I really can tell this is a European trend. There's some kind of lack of trust. The big guys, they really maybe want to push out the smaller players. They really want to enjoy their oligopolies and stuff like this. And there is nothing specific Lithuanian. Mm-hmm. I think that now financial conduct authority became even, how to say, the more keen on catching the villains, waiting out and pushing out them from the market. Out of the market, This is the very general European trend,
Okay, so so the general European trend, so you believe it's not some sort of a pressure from the big, ones to make some sort of, adjustments or it's like a European trend everywhere. Is everybody's doing the same thing, so we're just continue with the general trend. So that's your opinion.
Yeah, it's like you got the new kids on the block, and the regulators and the big guys, they really cannot comprehend the situation. They cannot understand. They cannot comprehend it to full extent. And the first reaction could be negative, because when it comes to the electronic money institution, this is always really all the talk spots related to the kinds of villains, money launderers, and stuff like this. That talking about the big cases, you're always going to find the big names, not the small institutions like authorized electronic money institutions. This is really, it's the beginning of the story, and the industry players are supposed to stand firm and to show their capability to tackle problems, to deal with money laundering issues, and to be even better, to be even more sophisticated.
Yeah, I suppose tomorrow there's an AML conference in Lithuania where the AML.
Yeah, but it's AML Competence Center.
Yeah, the competence and excellence of competence, and how do they call it? Introduce their approach. Yeah, because we do not have, I suppose we do not have any panel of AML, which is right now, even we spoke with Henrik, which is actually the hottest topic right now, AML part. Thanks a lot. We will turn back to you as well, because you're on a red chair. You're the only one on the red chair. Okay, so let's move to Estonia. Because we are everybody's used to Estonia being the frontman of the innovation and stuff like that. So that's most probably the only thing where Lithuania got unprepared with the fintech part. And now you're more or less catching up. Not catching up, but you're starting to move basically. So obviously, introduce yourself if you want, and then proceed with the Estonian framework. What's there, and what is your focus? Most probably, it's not the payments part, or maybe it's some sort of other, because fintech is not only payment. Everybody's used to think about fintech is a payments part, but fintech is not only the payments part. So the floor is yours. I'll rest my voice.
Hello, dear audience. My name is Anna Agu. I'm co-founder and partner of Lexlo Office. We have the offices in Tallinn, Estonia, and Vilnius, Lithuania. We just started to enter in this market, and we basically provide the legal services to the fintech clients all over the world. Also, I'm a former member of Blockchain Association, who was working with the European Commission on the crypto regulation. and I was a part of the roundtables and discussions with the Estonian Parliament regarding the last amendments of the IMAL Act that we had in 2022. So if we are talking about the fintech in general in Estonia, we do not have a big number of market players comparing to Lithuania. If we are talking about the payment institutions, we have only 12 payment institutions with a license and 4 with exception. And we have only 2 e-money institutions. And if we are talking about the payments in general, then I was looking for the interesting statistic data, what was published at the end of 2022. And there was information that 75% of the payments were covered by 3 companies. And I was not happy to see this information because it's not about the diversity. So regarding the expectations, I hope this number will change. As my colleague from Lithuania said, they have 52% covered by 5 main companies. We have 75 covered by 3, so it's even worse. So regarding the payment institutions, licensing and approach, the regulator is quite conservative here. So getting the license and confirmation is not a very easy journey. However, it is possible if you are compliant. And compliance is 100% the topic number 1 you need to think about. If we are talking about other, let's say, types of fintech companies, then last year we saw a lot of interest to the crowdfunding services and crowdfunding license. Until 10th of November 2023, crowdfunding companies must to comply and get the license to provide the services. And then until now, there is 2 companies in Estonia who has got this license and got confirmed by the regulator. It's Estate Guru and Crowd Estate. And Crowd Estate is the first and only one crowdfunding company in the European Union who provide the opportunity to invest in the real estate. And also I checked the general information or general statistic data about how many crowdfunding companies we have in EU. We have, by the middle of April, we have 27 companies who got the license. So I believe in 2023 we will see additional companies who will get the license until the deadline, and this market, this industry will start to grow. Because what we had before with the crowdfunding, we had like a little bit Wild West when they were not under the regulation. However, some companies got investment licenses or tried to apply for the financial institution license. So right now they have their own regulation, they will be obligated entities, they are having like a strict framework, and I believe it is very important for the market growth and for the consumer protections. And of course, if we are talking about 2022 in Estonia, it was a VASP year, virtual as a service providers here, because in 2022 we had, I believe you have heard, amendments in the IMAL Act of Estonia with quite new requirements which are similar to the future MiCA regulation.
Yes.
And right now in Estonia we have 96 VASPs with the remaining license. And before new regulation came in force, we had around 300 companies. So, and I believe most of these 96 companies are still under review of the regulator, FIU, and there is only 2 companies who get confirmed. So they are like compliant according to the new rules. So what we see now, we see that the market is reshaping, the strong players are staying, the small companies are leaving. It is hard to comply, and it's hard to have a long-term strategy if you have the very high requirements from the regulatory side.
Okay, so thanks a lot. How I see it, I always saw the industry saw the crypto part in Estonia a bit of a bug. because it was a short-sighted thing, where Lithuania actually did the same. It's just that the gap closed to Lithuania a bit faster than in Estonia. So because Lithuania had the same bug. So I totally agree that that it's reshaping. But in fintech, the biggest difference, how I see it from gambling, is passporting. Because with passporting, the jurisdiction must have some sort of key advantage why that jurisdiction is better than the other. So Lithuania was the first. They were quite aggressive, which is a good thing because Lithuania is never aggressive. So so it was nice. So what's the approach right now in Estonia? To have a stand here, or just on the fintech part, or just to be one of the jurisdictions which offers something, but not some sort with of an advantage. How do you see it? Is there some
Yeah, thank you for this question. I really believe that Estonia still have a lot of advantages. And if we need to name some first that came into my mind is, of course, our unique tax system. And I'm talking about corporate tax. If the company receives the profits, it's not taxable in Estonia. We do not have the capital gains tax for the company. We have income tax, and income tax will be charged only if the company distribute the profits or do costs not related with the business activity. That means that if you get first quarter 1 million and you invest in the company business activity and do the cost related to the business, you will not gonna have the tax obligations. And it's not a tax paradise, it's a unique tax system. And the same tax system we have only in New Zealand and Estonia. So this is one of the main aspects why companies decide to choose Estonia as a jurisdiction to be registered. Another one is that still we have the high quality court system, and we have quite understandable legislation. All legal acts are accessible in English. So so we opened the daughter company in Lithuania. So I, as a founder, started this journey, and my first disappointment was that if I'm trying to access, for example, tax and customs website, the first page in English, and then if I'm moving, the next one will be in Lithuanian only. So for the international companies, it is an issue. It's a practical issue they face. In Estonia, we do not have such problems. So everything is accessible in English. We have good legislation. We have good court system, and of course, the opportunity to use the government services absolutely online with a residency.
Yeah, so this is so that's the innovation part, which, as I told in the first part, that Estonia was always ahead of everybody in terms of the use of innovative measures. But when I see the innovation is something from the product side, that's okay. But there's another part which is the consumers, the customers. Are they prone to using innovation? Because Estonians are prone to using innovation. Lithuanians are quite slow in that. Latvians and Lithuanians most probably are similar in terms of if that's the accessibility. Some people still want to go into the tax. It's not tax and customs because that's Estonian thing. In Lithuania, it's already tax industry, tax authority. So I suppose that in Lithuania and in Latvia, the consumers or the customers are not that prone to using innovative measures as the Estonians. Okay, so let's move to Malta. Even though, as I told you, passporting is key in fintech, so we're not moving a lot, just to share. But still, you're regulated by the Maltese. Plus, you have your own product. So, introduce yourself, your product, and, please give your input in what we had and, what you see from your perspective.
Okay. My name is Oleg Chernishev, and I was born here in Latvia, but I am Italian citizen and working in Malta. Therefore, it's a little bit the whole Europe which is covered, honestly saying. And I have 25 years experience in banking, so I was all my life working in the banks. And therefore, we are creating the product. In year 2017, I was founded my own IT company, which is, of course, servicing the banking, fintech industry, etc. Since we understand that we should create software which is absolutely working in the field of IML, all kinds of payments, etc., etc., etc. And the same year, we also created a new product, which is called Bracket Card, and which is definitely working based from Malta. This is major information what we have. And if we would like to speak definitely about the product, okay, Bracket Card, it's already known mark. We have a lot of customers across Europe, not only in Malta. Since you should understand that Malta is a very small island. It's half of Riga, it will be covering on the people's side, but there is a lot of opportunities which we can use from such market. Firstly, as we have heard from our colleagues from Estonia, it's definitely English language, since everything in English, that we can absolutely afford anything. This is firstly. The second part, we already touched the question about AML, and we already touched the question about the compliance. And remember said that in Malta, this is the same strict compliance as everywhere. Since European Central Bank is controlling us, all of us, the same questions, the same legislation. But what can be the changing point? From the gaming industry, you know that Malta is very welcoming gaming. And what mentioned welcoming? No one is standing with a placard and saying, go, all iGaming, please come here. No, they have very strict and very specific legislation regarding gaming. It's the same about the fintech. Everything is described, we know what we should do, and we know what we should comply. This is definitely the same. If we are speaking about, this is one part. The second part, of course, passporting. This means that receiving the passporting, we may offer our services in the same level for all European countries, including Latvia, including Estonia, including Lithuania, and all other countries. Of course, our major customers are our neighbors, Italy. It's absolutely natural. But anyway, we currently also presented in Germany. We have strong presented in Poland, and we have principally currently all across Europe.
But what's your product basically? You know,
it's very simple. Since when we're starting to speak about the fintech as a thing, what it is, principally it's simplicity for the customer. Since if you remember old banking, I done the same 20 years ago. It was very heavy applications. User not friendly, and etc. But at the end, if you will speak with your customers, what you've done, what you use from all of that, they use cards, they use payments, and principally that's it. There is nothing else. Therefore, what we done, we have put an application from the fintech perspective. It's definitely these parts. I mean, payments, cards, and very easy and understandable list of what you have purchased and what you have spent. What we done additionally, we decided that, okay, we are good in fintech, great, but customers would like to see additional products. Why we should invent them again, since there is professionals who is doing this greatly. Therefore, we find a partner in Estonia who is offering cryptocurrency exchange, and we let them be inside our application. This is still their services, but we make an ecosystem inside that, and we can do this easily. We'll find another partners we will also adding to the product, and this is what we will be doing also in future. We will be finding the partners in specific areas, covering definitely customer interest. Since, but what this interest can be. Still, despite that we have a single market, we have different demands from different customers. In Italy, there is a specific system of payments. They should be integrated, and we're currently working on that. For example, if we're speaking in Portugal, they have a very specific system of payments. Again, we try to interact with Multibanca in this case to work with that. Therefore, it's a challenge, definitely to be present country by country in each territories. It's simple. There is nothing very specific, but that is what's working. This is what the gaming industry currently doing, changing all the interfaces that should be simple and understandable to the customer, doing the same. And we use all the forces we have in the European Union. For example, our major access to the SEPA is Lithuanian Central Bank. We use cryptocurrency partners from Estonia, and definitely we have, we work in Malta, and definitely we have partners which is all across Europe. Therefore, this is how it's working, and we believe that this definitely works good, principally. Despite that, yes, we may blame our regulators that they are hard, they're asking a lot, but you know, working 25 years in the banks, we see all these requests. They are absolutely normal for the banking industry. They simply should be adopted. And for myself, I believe that it's very great that European Commission decided that all the cryptocurrency exchanges should be licensed. In this case, we receive the same passporting, and we will not have all this problem of local markets.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks, yeah, for the overview. You speak really fast. So
I'm Italian. What I can do, I'm definitely very fast.
Okay, so okay, you know, we're used to Maltese gaming authority, and you know, we understand, you know, they market themselves as an attractive part, you know, because of the old offshore approach of the island. And in terms of, you know, there was the, you know, this sandbox Maltese thing with fintechs, and it was, you know, I don't feel that it's a, you know, a success story as a, you know, as Lithuania in Malta. So, you know, you for some reason you chose to, you know, to be governed by the Maltese, but you still use via, you know, via the Lithuanian part. Obviously, you have your partners everywhere. You can have, you know, partners everywhere. But you know, so what's the advantage of the Maltese part? What do you see it, and what's the one thing? And you know, what do you see as the you know, as the trend for the, you know, for the future? Because I will ask that, you know, the same question on the Lithuanian part and on the Estonian part. But you know, what do you see as a trend there? Yeah, from the Maltese perspective.
I'm already principally touched this question a little bit, but definitely the major trend which we see, and also in gaming and also in fintech, it's absolutely a clear and understandable environment. We understand what we should do. Since, for example, the same IML legislation, if we were speaking about that, they're very clear and specific saying what we can do in that. Of course, if we are speaking about the same also for the gaming, since it's absolutely clear and understandable. Firstly. Secondly, okay, the small island, we are working on that, we know each other, and therefore some collaboration is appears. Why Black Card starting also to work with the gaming industry to be as a source for the topping up accounts for gaming accounts. It's the same story, since we understand each our problems, our interests, and we're working together. Mm-hmm. But as regarding to this collaboration across Europe, I believe that that's absolutely natural, since you shouldn't buy only on some local market all your solutions. We believe that there is some innovation in different countries which are great, definitely, and we should use this great innovation to make the product much better. That was a clear legislation, absolutely clear and understandable, and a regulator who is also helpful, since it's not, we should understand that if we're speaking about the helpful regulator, it's not like they are not see something, they are not looking for something. No, it means that they are helping us with the guidance. Since, for example, if something happened, then we understand that our regulators will guide us how to react. And in this case, they know what expect from us, and we know what expect from them. And therefore, we are working absolutely in an understandable world. And if, for example, I'm offering my products in passporting way here in Latvia, I'm doing this based on the Maltese regulation, which is also great, since I shouldn't be aware of all different laws in Latvia and Estonia and etc. Yes, I should be aware of the customer protection law. Yes, it's absolutely understandable, but it's only one, not all others. And we also know that in different European countries, despite the same, we have the same level of regulation, we have the same directives of IML, we have different approaches how to do that. Therefore, we believe that Malta definitely has this possibility, but we see the same approach in Lithuania. We see the same approach in Estonia, since it's going to that. Since the last law which is done in Estonia for AML, it's also make much clearer situation for the cryptocurrency exchangers. Yes, it's very pity that the quantity was decreased, but it also shows that principally. Let's speak openly, saying that it's not only closing business, but it's making the industry much, much predictable and much better for the customers, since they are protecting customers, and this is better.
Okay, thanks a lot. Let's move to the second part of the panel, the artificial intelligence. Lev, you have a product. You have a few products actually. So. It's not a question. Yeah. So basically, yeah. The artificial intelligence in gambling. So you have to have either a product based on artificial intelligence or a problem that you want to solve with artificial intelligence. Most probably, you're a problem solver based on your product that you hold. So what are the problems or what are the aspects of basically gambling that you try to cover with your product, and why gambling actually because artificial intelligence, okay, we can see the metaverse and stuff like that, but not everybody from the first glance, not everybody understands that gambling and artificial intelligence is somehow definitely related. So which aspects you cover? Yeah, and introduce yourself, obviously.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Lev. I'm one of the co-founders at Huntly. So what we do, we analyze risks and client behavior on a large scale using partly AI and ML elements as well. So we are a solution, but we're also a problem solver for our customers.
Yeah.
If we look at an individual from our personal perspective, look, Salus here is unique, Yule here is very unique, myself, obviously, you and everybody here, we're very unique. But on a larger scale, when we are talking about hundreds of thousands of users inside the gambling platform, they all could be easily spread into 7 or 8 different client groups with their own very typological, very standard behavior inside the platform, which helps us to then in advance to track their behavior, see deviations from that behavior, and recognize when those deviations lead to increase of that risk, of that individual being a part of a fraud or a scam or a money laundering operation, because that can happen like this in an instance. So analyzing large chunks of data very quickly with a predisposition, with a help of AI and ML elements, and secure the whole market.
Okay, so that's from the fraud perspective. So can you give some like basic examples of what do you do? What's happening? Multi-account thing. What's the situation, or how you cope with that, and how you employ artificial intelligence here?
Sure. So the most basic example would be an intention. So whenever a new user approaches a gambling or betting company, they have different intentions. They might have an intention to play, to win, to participate in the platform, or they might have more nefarious incentive to launder money, to use that gambling operator as a part of their larger layering scheme. And this is what could be easily recognized by AI just on the behavior patterns. Fraudsters so anybody who's involved in a financial crime would employ large-scale operations, so they won't target a specific company with specific individual. They would rather employ 100 people that will act as bots inside the gambling operator. So they would try to penetrate as much players as possible simultaneously, and then once they are already there, they would then switch to different tactic, which is usually opposite betting. One of the most famous and popular right now. This is when we have two parties betting against one another or gambling against one another. So one party now has a verifiable income. That income gets extracted from the gambling and betting operator, so money is somewhat clear.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so and your product. So how you tackle that? And
so we monitor that activity throughout the life cycle of a client, meaning that from the day that they come in, we are able to tell whether or not they're using proxy or any type of VPN service, whether they use a email that is a one-time use email. So then we would monitor their activity inside the platform to see how fast they press certain buttons, whether they know where they're going, how they're placing bets, who they're playing with, and who they're playing against, whether or not they're using some sort of auto-clicker, for example, most popular again enhancements for those circles to be more efficient, because in the end of the day, it all comes to efficiency of one single unit that is involved in that scheme.
Okay, understood. So I'll get back to you. I want to turn to, let's say, to the theoretical legal side of the AI part and talk with Julia. Hi, introduce yourself a bit. As you know, everybody see that you're from Sorainen, Latvia, and you directly directly work with AI solutions or the industry and such, or please elaborate a bit.
Yes, hello, my name is Julia. I'm from Sorainen law firm. We are Pan-Baltic law firm who also advise gambling industry, fintechs, and different companies from different backgrounds. From my perspective, I am head of the startup sector. I mainly work with technology matters, not with fintech. My other colleagues will participate here and discuss more legal aspects from fintech perspective. But myself, I also am a PhD student, and I focus specifically on AI transparency matters and the upcoming EU AI Act, which will hopefully someday come into force. And yes, everything that is AI related is my passion at this moment, and this is very interesting for me to take a look through your eyes, to take a look into actually those ways how AI can be applied here in the gambling industry.
Okay, so please, comment on what's going on the legal basis, on the legislation basically part. From what you see, from the European intentions to cover that.
Yes, if we take a look on the world globally, there is an ongoing AI race between China, United States of America, and Europe. And all these regions has also started developing regulation towards different parts of AI application. If you can imagine, somebody has to develop AI, somebody deploys AI in their business, and somebody, just like all regular individuals, you and me, become the adversaries of those decisions. And different regions address their laws towards different parts of this process. And the European Union wants to regulate the whole process, starting from actually developing fair, just, and human-centered AI to make technology respect the human rights, to avoid biased AI technology, to avoid lack of transparency, to make sure that everybody knows that they are being subjects to those decisions made by AI, not by actual human beings. Therefore, everybody who is actually working with AI and also using AI in their business shall start properly following. Because this summer, in June, already next month, European Union, the Parliament of the European Union will have this parliamentary vote on the AI Act, but it is forecasted that most probably this act, which will have the power of regulation, meaning that each and every country will have to apply it directly. Most likely the act itself will come into force next year, not this year.
Okay, so the current stage of the act, what's there? One thing is that the current stage of the act. The other thing is what are the major, let's say, segments of what we're looking at. So So how deep is the regulation will cover, because that's a broad subject. It's not something like the AI. It's a tool. It's a how do you call it? It's an approach. AI is an approach. It's not a product itself. So you can't really I think you get my question, even though there's no question mark there. So
yes, this is a topic for several hours actually, but in a few words, the act itself is more than 100 pages, and there are many new things.
It's a half an hour talk.
In general, the act splits AI technology, AI systems into 4 groups. The highest risk group is prohibited as such. For example, social scoring. Probably you have heard that some countries use it, such as China.
Yes.
This technology will be prohibited. There will be some more technologies which will be prohibited, and this is also quite a hot topic. And the Parliament is discussing which AI-based technologies still need to be included in this prohibited technology list. Then there is high-risk technology, which will be subject to self-assessment, which is, again, kind of a problem, because you need to, first of all, you need to know what criteria you need to take into consideration when doing the self-assessment. First idea of the European legislator was that there will be some kind of certification body, but then it became a subject of having criticism, because we need to immediately to establish the certification bodies capable to evaluate technology in each and every country. We need so many new specialists. And how do we create such a position, and how do we assess whether they themselves are good enough, smart enough, and qualified enough? Then, so the tendency is that for high risk level AI, there will be a self-assessment. Then there is a low-level AI, which will be subject to certain criteria which need to be met, but in general, it will be possible to use AI. Maybe it is a good place to break this myth that AI will not be prohibited. This is a good thing. And there will be the fourth group, which is like almost no risk AI, and therefore it could...
Like less.
I cannot answer immediately.
Or I'm falling in that high-risk group.
Could be, potentially, yes. So, yes, this is one approach. If we take a look at other countries, for example, China has starting also regulating its AI systems. Previously it hasn't had so. But now they want to apply the registration procedure for each new AI, specifically generative AI tool, which is a trend currently. So as developer companies will need to actually go and register it. And this will not be the case for Europe so far. What else is new is that each member state will need to establish AI supervisory authority. This also, I believe, could be a challenge for some countries.
Okay, so that's this one is quite interesting, because so it's going to be a separate one, or the rights and obligations of this kind of an authority will be added on top of some sort of so so it's a question of the human resources to actually tackle these problems. Yeah, I get your point. I get your point. So thanks a lot, and I would like, because I think, yeah, it's almost done. So I would like to get back to you and just ask a general question. What do you think? What do you think it's next? The next thing in terms of gambling and in terms of the AI, the usage, from your perspective and in general. Most probably you're not going to tackle everything, because it's not something that one single company can do. But yeah, but your approach on what's next.
So for us in general, we tackle risks and we tackle human behavior analytics. We help to make the whole industry more secure, but the general notion is that we can do so much more with the assistance of an AI companion. So the problem here is, also as Julian mentioned, is the ethics of how you use that AI and what kind of boundaries you set for yourselves not to abuse the system. And while in gambling specifically, AI could be used both ways, and we've seen that already quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I believe the main push should be creating those ethical boundaries for ourselves, for gambling operators, and for other market participants, not to abuse the system, and that would be the next big push.
Okay, I hear you. Yeah, thanks a lot, and actually thanks a lot everybody. Because I couldn't give any minutes to the audience for the first panel, so I decided to give 2 minutes to the audience this time. If anybody has any questions towards any part of this panel, because as I told, it's a joint two-sided panel. It would be nice to see some hands. If not, thank you very much. Yeah, there is a hand. Yeah, Dan.
I'd like to hear your opinion. My name is Dan Iljovic, and I'd like to hear your opinion, any of you, on the following statement. If we will not regulate AI, AI will regulate us.
This is a very trendy expression. Yes, kind of yes, I could agree. Because AI is actually capable of many things, and if we are not